Hi, everyone, and hello to all the doctors and, of course, my fellow pediatricians who are not tuned in to today. I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. I am Dr. Christine Marie Gutierrez, and they call me Dr. KG, the chair of the PPS Committee on Scientific Meetings, and welcome to this special discussion on practical applications of the interim guidelines of the PPS PIDSP on the resumption of outpatient pediatric clinics. This made possible through our sponsor for this episode, Abbott Nutrition. On this particular episode of PDR, we will be joined by members of the Philippine Pediatric Society and the Pediatric Infectious Disease Society of the Philippines. So we'd like to send a little thank you to all those people out there. Thank you very much, and we truly appreciate for all the efforts that you've done for us, especially your fellow pediatricians. As you all know, coming from the ECQ or Enhanced Community Quarantine, we are now in the MECQ or Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine. More establishments are allowed open for business, which includes our clinics. And although movement is still quite limited, it's now looser as compared to before. With this new norm, of course, comes many rules and policies. Sometimes we have questions, if not sometimes confusion also arises from this. And that is why we are here today. We wanted to bring you updates that will help us serve our patients better. I hope that I, together with the guest experts, could bring out clarity in terms of how we are going to operate in our clinics under these new circumstances. Of course, we want to hear it from you as well. So please feel free to share your comments and questions, if you have any, on the comments section below. Let us make this a healthy discussion, as we believe we can also learn from you. Now, before we dive deep into our topic for today, let us hear a few words from one of the minds behind this initiative. She's actually the president of the Philippine Pediatric Society, the Vice President of the Perinatology Association of the Philippines, Head of the Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics at the National Children's Hospital, and the Chairman of the Department of Pediatrics of University of the East Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Medical Center. Dear doctors and colleagues, let us welcome Dr. Jocelyn C. Alonzo Eusebio.
Dear colleagues and friends, allow me to warmly welcome everyone to this special scientific session of the Philippine Pediatric Society entitled Practical Applications of the Interim Guidelines of the PPS and PIDSP on the Resumption of Outpatient Pediatric Clinic. This scientific discussion aims to simplify the guidelines given by our society so that we will have more confidence in opening up our clinics and seeing our patients. This scientific meeting is also equivalent to 2 PPS CPD points. I am particularly pleased with this event today, where there will be exchange of views and sharing of experiences. On behalf of the more than 6,000 members of the Philippine Pediatric Society nationwide, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to our very knowledgeable and experienced speakers, Drs. Ana Ong Lim and Joseph Regalado, and of course to our season moderator, Dr. Christine Marie Gutierrez. I also would like to thank Abbott for providing us the platform. Through the years, Abbott has been one of the Society's active partners in providing continuing medical education activities to our constituents. PPS acknowledges its limitations in its desire to bring all of this essential information to its members. Hence, with this platform and with other venues to come, I do hope that it would better reach most of us, and more importantly, it would benefit us more in our day-to-day clinical practice. I congratulate our speakers, and most especially you, my dear colleagues, for your commitment and passion in the service of the Filipino children. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Josie Eusebio. Now, today's discussion is primarily to prepare all of us in going back to our clinics and serve our patients better while we are under these new circumstances. preparation is still one of our best protections against this virus. Plus, doing all these precautionary steps ourselves also means protecting our loved ones and, of course, those around us. In relation to that, the PPS and PIDSP have already released an official guideline on the resumption of outpatient pediatric clinic post-enhanced community quarantine during COVID pandemic last May 11, 2020. But as I have said earlier, many of us still have questions and clarifications regarding this. Thankfully, we will be joined by two experts today to enlighten us on these gray areas. Friends and colleagues, please help me in welcoming both of them, starting with our first speaker, who is presently an active consultant in the Department of Pediatrics of Cardinal Santos Medical Center, a fellow and assistant treasurer in the Philippine Pediatrics Society Incorporated, and the vice president of the Human Resource and member of the board of directors of the Pediatric Associates Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker, the dashing Dr. Joseph Regalado.
Nox naman. COVID
Hi,
free.
Doc Joseph.
Hi, hello. Happy
How
to
are
be with you. Fine.
Oh,
fine.
yes, it's so...
Ready
Everything's
to go.
doing well?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you start clinic already, doctor?
Start na pala ako nung 18.
Okay, nung 18. So probably we could get tips from you now. And hopefully you can
Yes.
hear a lot of advice from you. Yes. Now, our next speaker is the Residency Training Officer of the Department of Pediatrics, UP College of Medicine, Philippine General Hospital, member of the Board of Trustees of the Philippine Pediatric Society, and the immediate past president of the Pediatric Infectious Disease Society of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, our second speaker, Dr. Anna Ong Lim. Hi, Dr. Anna.
Hello, KG. It's a pleasure to be with you.
And it's an honor for me to be here with you, Dr. Anyway, hi, doctors. Hi to both of you again. And I'm so glad that you can join us here today. I'm sure our colleagues feel the same way as we try to put ease on some of our feelings and likewise pain points in reopening our clinics. Since most of us have already read the guidelines in today's talk, we will focus more on what we call key points and practical applications on how to smoothly operate under the MECQ. We'll do that by answering some of the questions we've gathered from our colleagues as well. Now, to make this more systematic, we've divided our talking points into two. The first one is focused on the physical setup of our clinics and of course, patient traffic. And the second part will be how to protect ourselves. For this first segment, we will be joined by Dr. Joseph, but of course, Dr. Anna, we will welcome your additional inputs as well. Okay, so let's start the ball rolling and start our first question to Dr. Joseph. Dr. Joseph, in drying our hands after hand washing with soap and water, which is better to use? Is it cloth or paper towels or even your handkerchief or a hand drying device?
Well, actually, that's a very good question. Kasi we've been bombarded with telling us how to wash our hands. But never did we talk about, we thought we didn't matter, how to dry our hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Meron tayong mga devices that's available. Merong jet air, may warm or hot air devices. Ang disadvantage of these two things is actually mas nadidisperse pa yung mga natitirang germs that were actually not removed by your hand washing. So mas nagko-contaminate pa tayo ng environment. Now, when you use naman yung pag-dryer natin yung cloth rollers, no? Yan naman, maswerte ka lang kung if you're the first one to use it. Because with the subsequent usage, there's increase in contamination. In fact, they've done studies on these devices and they found that especially sa mga restrooms, no? Yung pala, tumataas ang fecal material content ng mga yan. So what are we left with? Ang pinakamagandang way for us to dry our hands actually will be your paper towels for three reasons. Why? One is, it easily dries your hand. Number two, when you rub your hand with a drying effect, there's actually friction in your hands. So it further removes the possible microorganisms that were actually left with your washing. And the third, it does not disperse any bacteria or viruses that are actually left in your hand. So the answer here is actually your
So
paper
towels.
towels.
So we have to use our paper towels.
Yes.
Doc Joseph, I
Paper
just have
towel
a
pala.
little question. In
Yes.
terms of the hand soap, I want to go back to the hand soap. Is it good to use soap or is it good to use yung liquid soap? Pwede bang mag-kojic acid soap?
Well, actually, sa kanilang studies, yung liquid soap at saka bar soap, okay naman sila pareho, no? As long as they're antibacterial. But mayroong study sila comparing the bar, kasi daw sabi disadvantage ng bar soap is it has drying effect. Oh, but you know it, KG. Kaya naman nagkaka-drying effect kung masyado mataas yung pH. Now, there is, if you're to compare them, in fact, pati hand sanitizers, yung liquid at saka bar, they have found that they checked on it and they tried to compare yung bacterial content. Nakita nila, there are about 44 colonies left in sa bar soap mo. And they tried to check on the liquid soap. Merong 55 colonies there.
Ooh.
So it would, if you look at it, on the bacterial remainders in those soaps that you use, we'll go for the bar soap.
I see. That's an interesting one. I didn't know that. Thank you very much, Dr. Joseph. Anyway, my next question would be now still, of course, on the topic of sanitation and disinfection. Here's my second question, which I'm also guilty of. Is the use of your UV light or even HEPA filters and the like, is it a must-have equipment in our clinical disinfection?
Well, based on our guidelines, it's a very good adjunct. It's an adjunct. We do not discourage its use. But you don't really have to have it. Although, for example, yung UV, it kills bacteria, the ones that passes through that device itself. Yun namang, yung HEPA filters mo, important doon yung blowers. But very important doon, ang downside doon is you really have to watch out for the filters. Because pagka masyado nang nagamit na yung filters, doon mismo on the filters themselves will grow microorganisms. So kailangan regularly napapalitan siya. But again, you don't really have to have it. You have to have the basic way to disinfect your clinic.
Is there a difference between what you call HEPA filters and air purifiers?
The HEPA being filters, they filter the air.
Okay.
So they trap using blowers, they trap them particles, kaya they call it high efficiency particle air filters.
Okay.
Oh, yun ang, but again, you have to be able to change the filters. They do not improve the smell of the room, no?
Okay.
Unless you have HEPA filters with carbon, no?
I
Enhanced
see.
siya yung carbon na yun. So that's how it works, no?
I see. Dr. Anna, do you want to add any additional comments or inputs on this one?
I think the important thing to remember for this and all the other questions is to remember the mode of transmission of the organism that we're trying to address. Now, since we're also aware of COVID and it's really the problem that we're trying to solve right now, we know that the main mode of transmission of COVID is still droplet, which means it has to be a fairly short distance for effective transmission to occur. Now, if you think about utilizing any of these additional devices like a UV lamp or perhaps your HEPA filters, then that assumes that there has to be some kind of dispersal of these particles in the air. It has to travel to where the device is located for the device to actually exert its effect. Now, since we know that that is not how COVID actually is transmitted efficiently, I would agree with what Dr. Joseph said. It's an adjunct. It is not something that is essential or necessary. But if as a clinician you feel that it will be helpful to provide an extra sense of assurance perhaps to your patients, and that will be its role. And I think one critical thing to remember is all of these are additional, how would you put this, additional devices, but they don't take the place of the essentials, which are still your masks and your eye protection.
I see. So, but all we have to do is just clean our clinics after the day, right? Am I right, doctors? Just clean
Usually
it down
periodic
with the
during the
right,
clinic hours.
yes, that's right. Okay. Our next question is something that some of our doctors have been clamoring to do, and it relates to how to set up their clinic. Question: is the provision of what we call a desk acrylic barrier recommended in the doctor's clinic? Dr. Joseph?
It's really a
Magpapagawa
very
na
good
po ba
question.
ako ng aking acrylic, solid acrylic thing sa aking desk?
Baka sa sobrang dami, mukhang acrylic clinic ka na. Well,
Yes.
let's go and review the history of this use of acrylic barriers. It actually started February. WHO actually encouraged the use of that because at that time we're starting to have a worldwide shortage of our PPEs, such that we would like to have this barrier so that we can limit yung ating mga PPEs, the mask and all that, to the doctors or the nurses and all the other healthcare workers who are directly dealing with patient care. Such that ang encouragement from WHO is to have these acrylic barriers for laboratories, for triage, for your registrations, for pharmacy, for admissions, no, admitting offices. Supposedly, doon sana nila gustong ibigay yung mga acrylic barriers. In the clinics, in the doctor's clinic, it becomes another thing that you need to check, wash actually, to sanitize immediately after each patient contact.
Oh, after each patient.
Of course, yes. And the other, because also, can you imagine if you look at a patient, pediatrics, then you interview, then after that, then you go around your desk, around your acrylic barrier to check on the patient. So it becomes a barrier, and it increases also your downtime. Because as I said, you have to clean that because magiging ano yan isang magiging frequent touch na equipment that you have placed actually. If you try to review the culture of the Filipino, no, culture ng Pinoy, nagiging siyang formal yung inyong engagement. So that's the downside of the acrylic.
Interesting, Doc. So, hindi na po ako magpapagawa ng acrylic ngayon sa aking clinic. Dr. Anoong, do you want to add something?
I think it was good for Dr. Joseph to review yung reasons for why nagkaroon ba ng acrylic barrier concept in the first place or any barrier in the first place, no? So if you review the reference materials, talagang ang ginagamit siya primarily for non-clinical contact areas. So tulad na lang ng mga admissions areas or areas where patients register perhaps or parang patient billing areas, hindi siya pang healthcare setting. Mm-hmm. So because that actually recognizes that at some point in the clinical encounter, kailangan mo ring lapitan yung pasyente. So ano pa yung ginawa nung acrylic barrier or nung any barrier nito, lalapitan mo rin naman anyway yung pasyente. So, agree din ako no, na very important yung component na pagka may ganyan ka at humaharap ka sa pasyente, kailangan nililinis mo siya. So, how practical is it for you to keep on cleaning that barrier? Because if you don't, then it becomes a source of infection as well, no? Lalo na pag nalalapitan or nahahawakan natin.
Okay. Thank you very much again, doctors. This is a very good point. I'm really learning a lot, no? Bago po ako magbukas ng clinic ko, buti na lang naging post po ako dito. Anyway, my next question. Is it really necessary for us to provide foot bath for shoe sole disinfection? Or okay bang isi-spray na lang natin yung sole ng patients natin? Dr. Joseph?
Hindi din there was malaking study, no? They did a meta-analysis ng mga use of mga pati booties, yung mga ibang shoes na ginagamit nila, yung mga disposable shoes that they use also. And they found na walang significant difference in terms of the clinical outcomes of the patients. And in fact, merong study that was done late February to early March in Shenzhen Hospital. It's actually a hospital in Wuhan, China. And they were able to see dun sa they did yung chinek nila yung soles ng shoes ng mga nagwo-work sa ICU at saka sa ward, no? And they checked them. Of course, nakita na totoo. may nakakita ka ng mga nakaka-isolate sila ng coronaviruses there.
Okay.
And then they found out that hanggang end of March, remember, hanggang first week lang ng March yung study to check kung ano mga coronavirus meron nga ba soles ng shoes. And at end of March, wala namang health worker in that area na nagkasakit ng coronavirus. So it's telling us that it is not, hindi yun. Ang importante din, I think you go back to your basics. Again, it is your basic PPEs. No? The basic, because in the first place, sabi nga, yung floor natin, yung ground natin are actually low touch areas. No? So it's actually, again, you go back to our basic mask, to our hand washing, to our yung ating protection ng ating eyes. Those are very important na laging i-emphasize still, both sa clinical and outside of the hospital.
Okay, so no foot baths also. Not that if you want, you can put, but it's not recommended at all.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, doctors. And I hope all our viewers right now took note of that. Our last question for you, Dr. Regalado, is one of the main concerns of our co-pediatricians and patients alike. Is social distancing still a critical requirement even when they already have their face mask or surgical mask or your cloth mask? And is it also all right to accommodate your sick and well patients in the same clinic?
Well, the fact that you have a face mask does not give you the license to take away social distancing. That's very important. Social distancing is here because it's supposed to, hindi po yun to flatten the tummy, to flatten the curve. Not to flatten the curve. And over the years, still, the next 1 or 2 years perhaps, kailangan pa natin pangatawanan itong social distancing na to. Because, again, yung ating mask, kahit there's no such thing as 100% protection of the mask. May leakages yan. So yung social distancing mo, if you do not practice that, then magkakaproblema tayo still sa contamination, yung ating increase in COVID cases.
Okay. What about the sick and well babies together? Dapat hiwalay.
Preferably, there should be a sick consult and well consults as much as possible because you have sick children who may actually infect well children to begin with. But if it's not possible, ang recommendation actually, if there are sick children there, then the sick children should be seen first so that they can be out of the waiting area and not cause infection to others. Kaya importante, in fact, what we say, now yung teleconsult is very important so that you can eliminate and you can be able to schedule patients. And you do social distancing, you'll be able to do that with the schedules that you put on your patients.
So important right now, Doc, is scheduling of our patients.
Yes.
So we can't see a lot of patients. Hindi pwedeng nakapila sila sa labas ng clinic.
Not anymore.
As of the moment, wala pa. Anything you want to add, Dr. Ana Ong, Lim?
Yung nabanggit kanina tungkol sa scheduling of patient visits, I think this is something that's a long overdue concept. Kasi hindi naman nagkaroon lang ng hawaan dahil nagkaroon ng coronavirus. You will recall siguro nung mga times na kumakalat yung measles, diba? One of the practical advice that we used to give our patients is you would schedule them, all the well children together, and perhaps the sick visits you would probably schedule, or you would try to kind of create some kind of patient traffic management so that you minimize the exposure of your well from your sick patients. So mas lalo pa siguro ngayon kasi mahirap kilalanin kung sino dun sa mga pasyente natin actually are pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic transmitters. And therefore, yung mga kaya nating isegregate dahil sick sila, it makes sense actually to try to schedule them separately. So I think this is a good system to carry over even after the COVID crisis has passed on. No? Hopefully soon, pero alam natin baka medyo matagal pa to.
Okay. In relation to that, I'm just really curious. Do kids have to wear face masks? How young are they supposed to wear face masks? Can babies wear face masks or face shields? Or PPEs for that matter? Pwede mo bang, may bang mga praning na nanay, baka magpahi sila ng PPE for their kids just to visit you? Is this something logical for them, baka kasi ibang moms gawin po ito eh. Or kahit tanungin ang advice namin, Doktora, dapat po ba kami naka-PPE pagpunta namin dyan?
Actually, children younger than 2 years old, including babies, we discourage, actually it should not be done, that you make them wear face masks or face shields. Kasi they'll be subjected to a risk ng suffocation. At saka having the mask there, including the face shield, remember, napaka-important ng color ng patient. No? Important yung color. So that actually is a barrier for you to properly assess the child.
I see.
So hindi advised at that age. After 2 years old, fine.
Doc, PPE. Di ba mga cute na PPE, may yellow, may pink, di ba? Is it something advisable? Because some parents will I really have to admit, one parent texted me, Doktora, magpa-follow up ako sa inyo, dapat po bang naka-PPE ang anak ko?
Actually, kung matatagal, that's fine if the child finds it cute. Para ka lang nag-costume, di ba?
Pero ang init, Doc.
Kaya meron nga nakita na yung nanay at saka yung bata pareho pa na itsura ng kanilang PPE.
Yes, Doc.
Well, it is not really discouraged, but what's important is baka na ma-dehydrate yung bata sa init.
Opo, Doc. Okay. Dr. Anne, do you want to add something?
Actually, it's a source of concern, no? Kasi alam naman natin, social media, di ba, kung ano-ano minsan yung mga nakikita natin. And lately, may mga nakikita tayong posts na child-sized PPE ang ibinebenta.
Meron nga talaga.
Oo. To address, I guess, yung concern ng mga parents na gusto nilang maproteksyonan yung mga bata. Pero 'di ba kanina sinabi na natin, ang pinagmumulan talaga ng ating interventions is an understanding of how we get the infection.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that most of the infection happens when your droplets find a way to get into the respiratory tract through your mucous membranes, no, or the eyes, also through the mucous membranes of the eyes. Then yung body coverings are actually a secondary form of protection. Hindi yan as critical as making sure as this is covered. So, this will actually be connected to our discussion a little later, no? Pero, kung secondary yung protection na ina-achieve natin sa katawan at ito yung gusto nating takpan, ano naman ang silbi kung pinagsuot pa natin ng special outfit yung bata. Also, aside from the consideration, a very critical consideration also na mainit talaga ang PPE.
Oh yes, Doc.
Oo. So, baka dun pa magkaroon ng problema yung bata kaysa dun sa pakinabang na maaring makuha niya, which is very minimal also.
Okay, so no PPEs for babies unless they want to be cute. Just kidding, Doc. Anyway, so thank you very much, Doc Joseph. Those are very, very good insights. I'm sure you've helped a lot of our viewers, a lot of our pediatricians out there. Now, let's move on to the second set of questions. This time, we have Dr. Anna Ong Lim as our main panelist as we talk about the PPEs and, of course, the recommended outfits and reusage. Let's get straight to it, Dr. Anna. Still on the topic of face mask. I'm so sure and hope that we'll all get to the bottom of this and finally give clarity to all our viewers. So my first question is, what is the recommended mask for the doctors or clinic staff, patients? Is it N95, surgical mask, cloth mask, and do we advise the reuse po of N95 face mask and the reusable respirators?
Para nga abutin yata tayo, KG, ng 2 oras pag mas ang pag-uusapan kasi really there's a lot of information about that topic.
Yes.
Pero siguro, again, no, I always go back to the issue of what are we trying to protect ourselves against para alam natin kung paano natin siya haharapin. Mm-hmm. Now, and then we also need to differentiate anong pinagkaiba ng mask sa respirator. So the mask or the surgical face mask was originally intended to protect a surgical field from whatever it is that was being produced by the mouth of the surgeon, no? So it's actually a barrier protection. Kaya dapat ang surgical mask should be impermeable, otherwise it will not achieve its function. So hindi dapat siya pinapasok from outside, and also dapat galing sa loob, hindi rin lumalabas. Now, ang respirator, on the other hand, is supposed to create a tight seal dun sa mukha or dun sa mucous membranes na nagsusuot kasi it tries to protect against entry of very small particles that might be dispersed in the air into the person's respiratory tract, no? So, having said that, dahil tayo ay healthcare workers and we are potentially seeing patients who might have symptoms which we might also be infected with, no, that their germs might also infect us, dapat talaga sa atin is N95. So respirator talaga dapat ang ginagamit natin, whether it is a single-use respirator or a reusable respirator, respirator talaga dapat ang ginagamit natin. Now, the problem is, alam natin na it's difficult to find these respirators, no? There's actually global shortage of N95 respirators. And of course, they're not very comfortable, aminin na natin, no? Because if we use them properly, they're supposed to form a tight seal. And if they don't create a seal, they're useless. So, siguro to just make some categorical recommendations, ang healthcare workers should actually be using N95s. Tapos, kung wala kang mahanap na N95 na magagamit mo ng matino and ma-replace mo ng maayos, then the next category is your surgical mask. Now, under no circumstances should cloth masks be used because they really do not achieve the purpose for which we want to use these protective devices. So, kung meron mang gagamit ng cloth mask, yan ay para sa pasyente kasi nga, sila naman ay hindi constantly exposed sa iba-ibang mga tao na maaring may sakit.
Doctor, the reusable respirators, is it something that's good? Yung mga, yung mukha kang alien?
Yes, yes. So, I think for clinicians who might be interested in using these reusable respirators, kailangan siguro din nilang tignan yung technical specifications kasi some of these respirators were actually intended for industrial use.
Yes.
Ang kanilang pakinabang is really more to prevent inhalation of particles like perhaps asbestos or some other industrial fibers rather than to be used as protection for microbial organisms, no? So, if you choose to use that, of course, maganda kasi sasabihin natin, oy, environmentally friendly, hindi natin tinatapon. Pero, unang-una, alamin ang specs, tama ba siya for healthcare use? Pangalawa, may supply ba ng cartridges, yung filters na kailangan palitan na magiging available? And then, is it something that you can manage to keep on for the entire length of your use, no? Kasi going back to the point kanina, kung hindi mo siya gagamitin ng tama, wala rin siyang pakinabang.
I see. Okay, so the most in our clinics, it's N95, if not possible, surgical mask. Tama po ba ako, Dr.
That's right.
That's right. And I want to again reiterate, sa bata po ba, do they have to use mask, cloth mask, or surgical mask na may picture ng bunny?
So, ngayon kasi, no, naging recommendation na talaga na lahat ng tao ay dapat gumagamit ng mask. So, the only precaution that we want the public to be aware of, particularly with mask use in children, is the potential for suffocation. So, kung maliit pa yung bata na hindi naman marunong magsabi sa atin na nahihirapan siyang huminga, dapat hindi siguro natin pinagsusuot ng mask. Kaya din yung 2 years old and below na prescription is really more also targeted towards how verbal is the child. Is the child able to tell us how comfortable he or she is with the mask? Kasi kung hindi siya makapagbigay ng feedback, it's also quite dangerous, no? So, young children below the age of 2, we usually don't recommend mask use. Above that, and if they're verbal, they can give us feedback, then we tell them, you may use a cloth mask. But of course, it has to be properly fitted, nalilinis ng maayos, para naman hindi pinagmumula ng infection din.
So, Doctor, if let's say, for example, a mom would come to the clinic, bitbit po nila yung baby nila. Hindi po ba dapat na nakatakip yung, what do you call this, yung cloth sa face ng baby or something when they go in? Because some parents are asking me when they're going to follow up, are they supposed to put a cloth over the face of their babies?
Actually, particularly sa US, kasi medyo yun ang marami nating access sa kanilang literature, no? The way they phrase their mask recommendation is cloth face coverings or cloth masks ang nire-recommend nila for their for the public, no? So, kung sakasakaling kaya naman ng mother na ma-observe ng maayos yung bata with the mask over, siguro may konting benefit, but again, 'di ba, ang problema kasi may leak eh. So siguro ang critical is ma-observe mo ba ng maayos yung bata pag tinakpan mo ng bibig? Hindi mo ba siya masusuffocate pag tinakpan mo siya? Kung masasagot natin ng maayos yung dalawang yon, then that can be an option. Pwede sigurong gumamit ng cloth face covering.
Because sometimes when they go to you for vaccination, especially 2 months, 4 months, 6 months old, no? Parang they're scared to bring their babies to you and they put a mask on. So at least we could tell them, as long as you can observe your baby and everything, then I guess to be okay.
Well, KG, siguro isa din yung point kaya kailangan natin mag-schedule eh. Kasi isa dun sa mga pwede nating i-assure sa parents na yung kasama nyo naman or yung mga kasabayan ninyo, they're all well children. So the risk of actually getting anything from these contacts will be minimal. So we're also protecting them by scheduling their visits.
I see. Dr. Regalado, you want to say anything?
One thing that you can use actually, ang i-suggest na lang natin yung breastfeeding cloth, yung cover. So hindi siya masasuffocate, yung risk ng suffocation ng bata will not be there. So loosely naka-apply yon. So mas safer pa siguro yon. Para sa mga mothers na ninenervyos para sa babies nila.
Yes. So as long as they will not suffocate, that's the most important thing.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
There you go. I hope those explanations will clear things out and put an end to all the confusion about masks. Now, earlier we talked about hand sanitizing, but as doctors, we usually use gloves as well. So our next question, Dr. Anna, can gloves be reused after washing? Say if you wash it after with alcohol or even soap and water, is it good?
Parang natigilan ako dun sa tanong na yon kasi parang nai-imagine ko kung hinugasan mo siya ulit tapos isusuot mo ulit, parang medyo ayaw mo nang ulit gamitin, di ba?
Dok, pag suot, hugasan mo, parang gano'n. Pero makatipid po.
Siya.
Opo, parang gano'n.
So, balikan na naman natin ulit yung question kanina. Ano ba yung ating kalaban, di ba? So, again, this is droplet transmission. Ayaw natin siyang mahinga. So, yung gloves actually, additional lang siya. Parang nice to have. I would say not even essential. Kasi kung hinuhugasan natin yung kamay natin at iniingatan nating hindi hawakan yung mukha natin, then the gloves are actually more of a visual reminder than anything else. No?
I see.
So, kasi hindi naman tayo masyado nagpo-procedure sa pediatric clinic, right? So, I would say, kung ang objective natin is ayaw nating masyadong waldas sa mga disposable equipment because of cost considerations and also, di ba, yung environmental impact, sobra talaga.
Yes.
Pag nakikita natin yung mga itinatapon natin ngayon, it's really mind-boggling, no? So, do you really need gloves? I would say, as long as you're washing your hands frequently, pwedeng wala. Now, if you prefer to use your gloves, you want to wash it and then hang it and then use it again, ano yung danger? Pwedeng ma-puncture kasi maninipis lang yung gloves. Pwedeng, tawag natin, hindi yung surface yung hindi natin nalinis, kundi yung loob. Parang the skin side, no? It's
because when you take it out, no?
Yeah, and you might actually be infecting yourself because you're not able to clean it up as properly as you ought to, no? So for these disposable gloves, I think they're disposable for a reason. If you choose to use it, perhaps safer to discard after use.
Doc Anna, Doc Joseph, question, do our secretaries need it? Or if they do need it, can we use rubber gloves? Yung panghugas ng Kasi yun, pwedeng hugasan.
Oo.
Just a question lang because people might be trying to use that. Would rubber gloves be okay?
So, KG, regarding rubber gloves for secretaries and perhaps clinic staff, I think we go back to the concept of what are we protecting ourselves against, no? So, sabi nga natin, respiratory droplets, siguro yung makukuha natin sa kamay, very minimal. The other concern din kasi is kung kunwari pinagamit natin ng rubber gloves para hindi sila palit ng palit, ano kaya yung mas likely na mas masipag maghugas ng kamay ang isang tao kung wala siyang gloves o kung meron? Parang feeling ko kung naka-gloves, minsan may false sense of security. You might not be as diligent about washing your hands. Baka maging source lang din siya ng infection.
I see. Thank you. Dr. Regalado, you want to add something?
That is very true. And something that I would like to emphasize at this point, no? Maganda yung sinabi ni Ana eh. Please, we have to manage our medical waste. There should be a rational use of PPEs. Yun lang napaka-importanting. Another takeaway from all of the protections that we need to do to protect ourselves and our patients.
Okay. So it's better to wash our hands. We save our environment. I
Yes,
agree with
please.
you. Tama po. Okay. Of course, from gloves, now we move on to another layer of protection we call face shield. Our main question, Dr. Ana, do you need to disinfect face shields after each patient engagement?
Okay. If we think again, back to the purpose of the face shield, it's actually intended to protect the mucosa of the eyes. And so therefore, ang option natin is either naka-face shield tayo or naka-goggles. Ang glasses daw,
So, Dr. or.
Oo, actually or siya.
Goggles or face. Okay.
Yes. And in fact, I don't know how many of our clinicians have already started using this. It's really quite unwieldy. Nagpa-fog. Tapos kung medyo may vision problems ka, hindi mo siya makita kasi yung double layer ng goggles and face shield medyo nakaka-distort, no? Ng ating vision. But in any case, yung point is gusto nating takpan tong mata. So, pwedeng ito, pwedeng face shield. Now, kung gagamit kasi tayo ng face shield, ang problema may splatter. So, kung may splatter, we want to be able to protect ourselves from inadvertently protecting or rather from infecting ourselves because nahawakan natin yung maduming face shield. No? So, yun lang naman yung dahilan kung bakit natin gustong frequently dinidisinfect yung face shield. Kasi baka naman tayo, nahawakan natin, gumanon tayo ang nahawa. Versus if you clean it up frequently, mas mababa yung chance na may mahawakan ka.
I see. Dr. Regalado, do you want to add something with the use of the face
That's
shield?
true. You have to emphasize that kung naka-face shield ka na, hindi mo na really kailangan yung goggles mo. Important yan. Kasi, lalo na kung naka-eyeglasses ka pa, naka-eyeglasses ka na, naglagay ka pa ng goggles, naka-face shield ka pa.
But can eyeglasses alone be okay?
Hindi eh.
Na.
Hindi.
No.
So, in a lot of references for healthcare workers, hindi kino-consider na adequate eye protection ng eyeglasses. So, if you are wearing glasses, I guess the most practical alternative pa rin is to use your face shield kasi mahirap maghanap ng goggles that will fit over a frame.
Is there a specification for the face shield? Dapat ba it should reach until where? Hanggang sa chest, sa baba, ano?
Yung usual na inire-recommend is below the chin. Kasi if it's longer, it's difficult to move. You might end up knocking it off your face. No? Delikado. So something that's comfortable. Saka mabigat din, ha? There are some items that are heavy and they tend to keep on moving down. So if you keep on fixing it, then you might touch the front and you'll infect yourself.
So does it also matter in terms of the material, whether it's acrylic, the acrylic, the hard plastic or the soft
acetate.
Plastic? Doesn't matter. Acetate.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
So
it doesn't really matter. Either would do.
Yeah, but the critical thing is you have to think about how much wear that particular face shield is going to be able to stand, especially if you use disinfectants to wipe it off frequently. Kasi may mga acetate material na parang when you use disinfectants, they actually turn cloudy.
Yes, yes.
no? So you
Mhm.
might want to
Mhm.
test a small corner of that particular face shield to make sure that it stands up to frequent disinfection.
I see. Oh, it's really very interesting. Thank you,
Yes.
Doc Anna. Now we go to Dr. Regalado to add something. Good.
It's important kasi
Okay.
when you buy these face shields, one, you look at the, yes, as Anna said, importante yung material. Ikalawa, clarity. Yung eventual clarity because you have to do the cleaning every now and then. Kasi pagka nililinis mo siya, yung kasi makita mo na-impede yung vision. Lumalabo na siya as the time goes on in your clinic
Mhm.
time. So very important to look at those things. Very important siya.
Thank you very much, Doc Anna and Doc Joseph. Now, our last question is a hot topic that's been circulating around social media, especially during the first few days of the lockdown because of its shortage. Yes, we're talking about PPEs or personal protective equipment. So, Doctor, is full PPE, including the bunny suit done by our designers, necessary in an OPD setup? Is it advisable for doctors and even clinic staff to use scrubs while in the clinic, or would normal everyday clothes be okay? Dr. Anna?
So going back again to the principles and the need to protect ourselves against droplets entering our mucosal membranes, no? Ito, yung from neck down, medyo not as critical unless may balak kang gumanon-ganon, di ba? Doon lang naman pwedeng pumasok yung whatever it is na masasagap mo into your mucosa. So having said that, yung pagsuot ng either overalls or surgical gown is really just meant to perhaps visually remind you to not do that and also to protect yourself, your skin from contact and therefore possible transmission. Now, in the outpatient setting, um, I would think that the likelihood of you getting some kind of splatter is really very small, no? And in the end, it still boils down to making sure that you wash your hands properly and frequently so you don't touch the mucosal membranes. So if you opt, for example, I would say that these other outfits are optional. There has been some advice about just wearing scrub suits, then changing out of these scrub
Mhm.
suits when you leave your clinic before you wear your street clothes. That can be an option, no? Um, Again, recognizing that it's possible for some kind of splatter to occur when you see patients, and this can aerosolize when you move around. Yun yung mga considerations kung bakit tayo nagsusuot ng extra layer. Pero kung sa dapat ba overalls, siguro I'll share with you, no? In the hospital setting where we actually see COVID patients, meron pang ang categorization, pag less than 4 hours ka dun sa pasyente, level 3 PPE lang ang suot mo, hindi ka nga pinagbabani suit. Eh, bakit naman sa clinic kailangan mo mag-bunny suit? Hindi naman siguro kailangan, no? Pangalawa, medyo naengganyo tayo dun sa bunny suit, but do we actually look at the features? Nakaseal ba siya ng maigi? Impermeable ba siya sa fluid? Kasi kung tumatagos din yung fluid, parang wala rin siyang masyadong pakinabang, no? So if you choose to wear something on top of your regular clothing, something on top of your scrubs, you have to make sure it's impermeable. Otherwise, it's not going to do its job.
So, Doctor, if they decide to use a PPE, are they supposed to change PPEs in between patients?
Medyo mahirap din yan sagutin, no? Kasi yung perspective nga is, sino ba yung pinoproteksyonan natin? Tayo lang ba o pati yung pasyente?
Yes.
Siyempre, ayaw naman nating sabihin that we're neglecting patient welfare.
Yes.
Pero isipin natin, if in the regular hospital setting, we were supposed to see somebody with who is under isolation precautions, inuulit ba natin gamitin yung gown? Hindi, di ba tinatapon natin yon?
Yes.
So why is it now acceptable in the clinic na gagamitin natin siya for the whole day? No? So dapat, kung tutuusin, kung gagamitin natin yung tamang paraan, kung gagamit tayo ng gown, dapat pinapalitan natin siya. So
I
that
see.
can
That's
be
very
quite
good.
difficult, no? That can be quite
I
difficult to
know.
sustain.
I agree. I agree, Doctora. And it's very hot to use a bunny suit.
Oh, yes.
Even our
Totoo.
secretaries are not required to wear a bunny suit.
Oh,
Then I'd like to
no.
ask that. Definitely
Definitely
not.
not. Definitely not.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Dr. Regalado, I see your reaction there. Anything you want to contribute also, please?
Nakakatuwa kasi important again from our end, tayo doctors should be able to drive home the points on the rational use of all everything else. Kaya lalo nagpapanik ang mga pasyente and then our communities is because of our very reaction. How we are doing it. Parang kung mukha tayo nagpapanik, taga nagpapanik sila. And they lose the essence of what they are supposed to do. From hand washing, from the what's important with your mask and social distancing, na focus sa mga externals, which are actually not even essential.
Mhm. Okay, that's very nice. A very nice way of putting things. You know, nakakatipid na tayo, nakakatulong pa tayo sa environment. I'm really glad
Exactly.
that we're doing this today. All right, that was actually our last question for today's episode. I believe we have shared some good points and likewise steps for our pediatricians to undertake before reopening their clinics. But doctors, you know how rampant fake news are in these days. It literally is everywhere. Fake news as the millennial term, but before we simply call it myths. So to help our doctors even more, we'll have a short segment. I'd like to call it Myth a Minute. I'll read a statement and you simply have to answer it as fact by saying true or false. Let's see if how many myths can be debunked under 1 minute. Ready, Dr. Anna and Dr. Joseph? Okay? Personal misting is recommended in the disinfecting process.
False.
Dr. Anna?
False.
Dr. Regalado?
False.
Okay. So, dapat tayo
The
nagmi-miss ng
compatibility.
tao, no? Di ba? Parang in-sprayan. Okay. So, no misting, guys. No misting. All types of alcohol, ethyl, isopropyl, strength 40, 60, 70, 90 will provide the same level of disinfection. True or false?
False.
False. So, false. So, no. Dapat po ay more than, Doktora?
Actually, 60% kung
Okay.
ethyl, 70% kung propyl alcohol.
Yeah. Okay, good. Next, a pair of eyeglasses enough over goggles or face shield as eye protection. True or false?
False.
False.
Okay. And if you were wearing a face shield, there is no need to wear face mask or goggles anymore. True or false?
You have to wear the
Trolls.
face mask. False.
Trolls ang sagot ko.
Trolls, yes.
Trolls.
Trolls
Yes.
yan eh.
No, just to emphasize, you really need the mask, right,
Yes.
Doc? And then, as
Yes.
I learned a while ago, either a face mask or goggles.
Yes.
Tama po? Wow, I
Yes.
really enjoyed this segment so much. So there you have it. Now, as parting words, may I ask each of you to pick a myth or statement that we just debunked and explain it to our viewers, just one each. Let's start with you, Doc Joseph.
Well, what we can say is, again, ang pakikipaglaban sa COVID is very important to be rational. Important again, we have just three. You have yung ating face masks, wear them properly. We like to emphasize face mask worn properly, which covers the nose all the way to the chin, not any shorter than that. And of course, suppose you use your goggles or face shields if you want. Hand washing, very important. And of course, social distancing. And please, let us all help manage medical waste.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc Joseph. Now it's your turn, Dr. Anna.
I think the critical thing to remember is to understand how this virus is transmitted so that we can devise strategies about how we can effectively combat this infection. So, marami tayong napag-usapang detalye, pero kung mapapansin nyo, bumabalik at bumabalik tayo dun sa how is this transmitted. And if we're able to answer that particular question, then we can figure out actually for ourselves what is essential and what is not. And I think because this is going to be something that is with us for the long haul, and many, many details are going to come up where clinicians might not always have immediate access to a reference or maybe some infection control person. Going back to understanding how this thing is transmitted is really very essential for us to be able to come up with rational and effective solutions.
Okay. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Anna and Dr. Joseph. Definitely, I learned a lot, and I know our colleagues out there has also learned a lot. We are now more confident as we face the new normal, as we face the new clinic. So thank you very much, dear doctors. All right, I guess that's all about the time we have for today. Again, preparation is the key, my dear pediatricians. I suggest right after watching this episode, if you have missed out something in your clinics, forgot a thing or two, go ahead and tackle it right away. But before that, please do scan the QR code being flashed on the screens or click the link in the comment section below and answer our poll question from today's episode. In doing so, you will earn an equivalent of 2 CPD points. At this point, let me say thank you once again to our speakers, Dr. Joseph Regalado and Doc Anna Ong Lim. We've learned so much from the both of you. Of course, thank you also to all of you for joining us here today. Again, if you have questions and comments, please do not hesitate to share them with us on the comments section below. We will gladly tackle them on our succeeding episodes. Once again, I am Dr. Christine Marie Gutierrez. They call me KG, from the PPS Committee on Scientific Meetings for the episode of PDR, made possible by our partners from Abbott. Stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you next time.